You're listening to AMAC's podcast, Better for America. Today's episode is sponsored by Emergency Assistance Plus. Now, your membership with EA Plus provides you with an extra layer of protection anytime you travel. Whether you're thousands of miles away or on a short road trip away from home, you'll have peace of mind should a medical emergency arise. EA Plus membership gives you access to a team of highly skilled professionals, and they will ensure that you receive proper medical care and get fast and reliable transportation home. Get that extra layer of protection anytime you travel. Become an EA Plus member today. Call EA Plus at 800-445-3575 or visit emergencyassistanceplus.com/BFA podcast. We're thrilled to have with us today Kash Patel, a former top official in the Trump White House, the Department of Defense, the intelligence community, and the Department of Justice. His new book, Government Gangsters, pulls back the curtain on the deep state, a great book. He reveals the major players within the permanent government bureaucracy, which has really spent decades stripping power away from the American people and their elected leaders. Kash, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to Better for America.
Thanks so much for having me on the program.
You know, I'm truly looking forward to getting my hands on your new book, Government Gangsters. To begin with, I'd like for you to tell our listeners a little bit about what this book is all about.
Yeah, look, it's just an attack on the deep state. It's how to obliterate the deep state, because to me, it's not a Republican or Democratic thing. It's an everywhere thing in D.C. that is ruining America. It's destroying our justice system. It's ruining our intelligence infrastructure, our military, our economy, and everything stems from one place, the entrenchment that is the deep state. And these individuals, I name them by name in the book, by title. I probably call out more Republicans than I do Democrats. People might be shocked to hear that. But if you got in the way of a lawful order from the commander-in-chief, I'm calling you out. And more importantly, I'm showing you how to fix it so we don't have another DOJ politicizing politics into law and rigging presidential elections. So we don't have an intelligence community paying off its own employees to lie about the China virus only to find out about it 3 years later. And we don't have another 51 intelligence officers calling Hunter Biden's legitimate criminal conduct Russian disinformation and rigging a presidential election. And so for 16 years, I did that. You know, I served, and I just take people through the various agencies and departments. I talk about our ride through the Trump administration, and there's a lot of cool documents from the government itself that we put in the back of the book. And I'm sure there's many reasons why they blocked it for 10 months. I had to go to federal court and sue the Biden administration just to get my book out.
Unbelievable. You know, Kash, this term deep state, it's been used for a long time, but it seems that today more and more people are very much aware of the existence of deep state and the influence it has on American politics. Your book's description references this decades-long effort to strip power away from the people. But my question for you is, was there a point in time where you really thought to yourself, like, geez, this can't be real? Was there a turning point? At what point did you recognize how real this really is?
Well, I didn't want it to be real. And when I was at DOJ in the Obama administration, and President Trump got elected, a man I had heard of but never met or talked to, you just saw the DOJ and FBI implode at the leadership levels. They would publicly walk around the hallways disgracing the incoming president of the United States. I said, wait a second. I thought we were an apolitical institution. We don't talk about this stuff. You can have your personal feelings. You can support who you want. But this is the Department of Justice. It's the last check on lawful authority and charging criminals who break the law. And at that moment, and later when I would go on to run the Russiagate investigation, I learned how expansive the deep state was. I wish it wasn't. I wish I didn't have to write a book about the deep state. I wish I wrote a book about how awesome America is right now and how Biden is succeeding on the national security front. But that actually would be disinformation. And so it was then in like 17, 18 when I was like, wow. I was like, I can't believe cabinet secretaries are undercutting a lawful order of the President of the United States. I can't believe Gina Haspel was the director of the CIA, is the one who authorized the launch of the Russiagate investigation when she was chief of station in London. How does that happen? And she knew it was unlawful. And they go on to promotions within government. And that's one of the things I take on that we must end.
Yeah, and just to underscore really what you're saying, and this was shocking to me, Secretary Mayorkas just announced the establishment of a Homeland Intelligence Experts Group. Now, this group was formed to provide advice and perspectives on intelligence and national security in order to support the DHS. But it's amazing, Cash, amazing the people who Mayorkas is deeming as experts. Take John Brennan, James Clapper. Both of these guys signed letters that the Hunter laptop had all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation, and in order to discredit the laptop. So these guys get rewarded and they don't get punished?
It's no longer hidden. It's out in the open. They're just punching us in the face with it. Let's put aside the fact that Brennan and Clapper signed the 51 Intel letter to rig a presidential election. How about the fact that these are the guys that lied under oath to Congress and are responsible for covering the tracks on the Russiagate fraud? John Brennan went to Obama just before he left the White House, and he told him Hillary Clinton is behind this. And they buried that information from the American public, then lied to the world about it and the Steele dossier and the FBI's unlawful activity. These two guys, it's not an accident. If you want a promotion in government, become a deep state actor. If you want a big promotion, go out and publicize it. Case in point, now these guys are on some board created by Mayorkas, another epic failure, and they're going to go out there and lie for him. And Congress is doing nothing to get back their constitutional oversight authorities. One thing is pretty simple. Remove their security clearances forever. They're making millions of dollars on them in the private sector, and for some reason, we think it's okay to let them have them still.
Based on your experience, do you think that the DOJ and other agencies have always been this radically corrupt? Or has there been radical change under the Biden administration? Can we reverse it?
I think it's a combination of two things. There's always been corrupt actors in government, unfortunately. And the trigger point for them was when Donald Trump was elected. Once that happened, they all got together and lost their minds because Donald Trump threatened to do the one thing deep staters never want to have happen: invade the swamp for the American people and expose their corrupt activities, end the forever war, secure the border, take on Russia, China, Iran, secure our economy, and kill the drug traffickers and murderers that are taking our children from us. Washington had been running in a cyclical cycle, Democrat and Republican, come into Washington, become famous, make money, leave the private sector, go back to Washington, and just make sure you just tout how awesome government is. And they failed where Donald Trump succeeded. So I think they just exponentially lost their minds. And unfortunately, I wish it just wasn't a reality. I wish there wasn't individuals who conjure up false impeachment charges like Eric Charmello, who had embedded himself in the intelligence community. And the one warning I have for your audience is, if you think they did it back then, what do you think they're doing now to get ready for an upcoming Donald Trump victory in 2024? We have to be ready to go in there on day one, and it's what I talk about in my book, Government Gangsters, and remove every deep state actor publicly, not privately, because they serve the American public, and make sure they never re-enter government service again. And we know who those guys are, and we can do it, but we're going to need Congress's backing, and we're also going to have to start going after some of these judges. Yes, judges. Me, as a former federal prosecutor and public defender, never thought I would say that about a person in the black robe behind the bench. They're supposed to be the last stop we have for justice. And you've seen the decisions and sentences they've been handing out based on just Donald Trump's baseless prosecutions, some of the persecutions of Jan 6 individuals, and just the other day, a 76-year-old lady was arrested by the Department of Justice for having a peaceful protest outside an abortion clinic. We have weaponized and politicized and criminalized the First Amendment only if you're a conservative. And that's what the deep state is doing now and has been for years. But my warning is we got to get ahead of it in the next year. Electing Donald Trump's the priority, but between now and then, we got to educate America that it's not a right-wing conspiracy. These things happen. We have the receipts. We got to show them to them.
That's right. Otherwise, the very people who are committing illegal acts, they will suffer no consequences. Take Adam Schiff, for example. He's a man knowingly lied to frame a sitting president. No repercussions. For example, I think today he's working on a project, justmajority.com. This is to get more justices on the Supreme Court. And it's like a revolving door, Cash. These crooks, they commit unthinkable acts. They go on to make millions of dollars on book deals and special endorsements. I guess my question was really, how do we reverse this? But I think what you're saying here is we've got to elect good leadership. And it's got to happen in all branches, all three branches, because we can't see this kind of thing continue to tear down America, is exactly what it's doing.
Yeah, we got to get everyone involved. You can't mail it in every 2 and 4 years now. Those days are over. We have 410 days till the next election cycle. Every single one of you that's listening and watching to this show picks one issue locally in your community that you care about, that you want to see improve, whatever it is, and spend 410 days driving hard on that. That's how you win. I know it's a lot of work, and I know Donald Trump's going to outwork everybody on the national stage. But if we don't get our communities together and educate them with this great show that you continuously put on to put out the truth, then they're going to be duped by another election rigging scam from the DOJ and FBI, and we'll find out about it after the election's already over. And people have learned the hard way. There's no way to reverse course. It's not up to federal officials to govern elections. That's a statewide mandate for state AGs and state secretaries of state, which is why George Soros funded them so heavily, so they could change the rules of the system. Yeah. And you might not like it, but unless we go out there and ballot harvest and get our votes lawfully collected and counted, then they're going to win again. And so you have to either play the game and then change the rules, or wake up in November of 24 and say, we lost and we're going to go 0 for 10 every single day for the next 4 years. That's the decision.
Yeah. Well, we've been paying attention here, and we think that if things continue to trend the way that they are, that Trump is going to be the Republican candidate. Now, as somebody close to Trump, realistically, what is your assessment of where he's at right now? He's been indicted 4 times. He's got a series of trials ahead of him as he runs again for the White House. Mm-hmm. How do you see that playing out?
What I've told him that a central tenet of the campaign should be is the 2-tier system of justice. It's not a Republican talking point. It's not a conservative talking point. It's not a MAGA talking point. It's a reality. And only like Donald Trump can, after he's been baselessly charged 4 times, and who knows what else is going to come down the pike, he's using it to show everyday Americans that they're targeting you. He's just in the way. They may not like Donald Trump, but they see the fact that they've criminalized free speech. It doesn't matter whether you won or lost the election. You have a right to say you won every election from now until the end of time. The Democrats did it. Hillary Clinton did it. Nancy Pelosi did it. Hakeem Jeffries did it. But Donald Trump does it, and it's criminal. And when push comes to shove and they have the DOJ mandate to try and charge him with insurrection and possession of classified documents, they don't. They create new fancy legal verbiage to charge him with quote unquote insurrection, but we didn't charge him with that. We just think he's a bad guy. He shouldn't have said he won the election. That was rude. And they charge him. And then they go over to the classified documents case, and I know I used to handle these cases, and they could have charged him with unlawfully possessing classified material. They don't. They use a statute that's 100 years old that we used to charge sailors with on boats for taking maps, that he possessed material he shouldn't have. And in the process, they violate the Presidential Records Act and his executive privilege and his ability to take whatever he wants, just like Clinton, just like Obama, just like Bush did. But if Donald Trump does it, hang on, it's illegal. So he has this ability to show the world that this 2-tier system of justice is coming for you. And the only fix is to elect President Trump and get Americans educated on it. I don't know how these cases are going to play out, but I know one thing: nothing's going to stop Donald Trump.
Nothing will stop him. And he's the one who really put the spotlight on fake news. And I think that was something that was so important. This is all really good. Kash, thank you so much for joining us, because AMAC members are truly huge fans. They appreciate you giving us your time today. And I want to remind everyone out there listening, get your copy of Kash Patel's latest book, Government Gangsters: The Deep State, the Truth, and the Battle for Our Democracy. God bless you, Kash, and thank you again for being with us.
Thanks so much. And the book ships in 4 days, governmentgangsters.com. Appreciate it, everybody.
Thank you.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.